In the last few weeks, the United States has seized multiple Venezuelan oil tankers in the Caribbean, with the most recent one being vessel number 6, a tanker called Veronica. This is part of a major shift in how Venezuelan oil moves through the global energy system, and it has real implications for US refineries and jobs. You first have to understand the scale of Venezuela's oil reserves. Venezuela holds the largest publicly known oil reserves in the world, roughly 17 to 20% of global crude, or about 303 billion barrels. On paper, this should make it a global superpower, but in reality, Venezuela's current production is less than 1% of global output. And that gap is why, in late 2025, the United States has dramatically tightened its grip on Venezuela's oil industry. This is all taking place right now in the Caribbean, following the capture of Nicolas Maduro and recent political shifts in Venezuela. The Trump administration isn't just sanctioning oil anymore, they're now taking it. Venezuela will provide 30 to 50 million barrels of oil directly to the United States. That oil will be sold at market price, but the revenue won't go straight back to the government. Instead, the money is being held in US controlled accounts. Technically, the funds still belong to Venezuela, but they're being managed under US supervision to prevent creditors or lawsuits from claiming them. The first sale under the arrangement is valued around $500 million. There's also a critical condition attached to that cash. The executive order requires that Venezuela's share of the money be spent exclusively on American-made products, specifically food, medicine, and infrastructure equipment. The goal is to create a controlled economic loop. Venezuelan oil enters the global market and American-made products flow back. U.S. energy companies are already adjusting to this shift. Chevron, the only major U.S. oil producer still operating in Venezuela, is expected to receive an expanded U.S. government license that would allow it to increase production and export more crude. That change would give Chevron greater flexibility when selling oil to US Gulf Coast refineries and global markets, while other major energy firms are watching closely or pushing for regulatory clarity that could allow for deeper investment and larger roles if Venezuela's production begins to recover. But this isn't just about Chevron or corporate positioning. If licenses expand and production rises, the impact could be felt right here inside the United States, inside refineries, supply chains, and labor markets. The crude oil exported from Venezuela is heavy and high in sulfur. Not every refinery can process it efficiently, but many refineries along the Gulf Coast, especially in Texas and Louisiana, were meant specifically to handle this type of oil. Those refineries will run at a higher capacity, increasing the demand for workers across multiple industries to help process and move this oil. For regions that rely heavily on energy infrastructure like Louisiana, this could be a huge boost to their economy. Even though Venezuelan oil represents a relatively small share of global supply today, locking in that access now could lead to a greater relationship in the future. But more heavy crude flowing into US refineries doesn't mean cheaper gas overnight, but it will make US refineries more resilient to supply shocks. With more crude available, they can run consistently and avoid slowdowns. This is something you really need to keep an eye on. What's happening isn't just foreign policy, it's how oil is going to flow through the US. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, hit the subscribe button. It would mean a ton. Peace.